Hello guys and welcome back. So now I want to take a look at rendering this one. This guy. Sorry, this one. They're all similar, but we're going to focus on this one. And I wanted to talk about my approach into how I make these images. So the first thing that I start with is rendering just the density with the environment light. So I'm gonna start with that. So let's create Arnold standard, call this explosion shader, and let's go back. And let's make sure we have a standard volume. I'm gonna turn off the emission. And let's make sure that I'm reading the correct channels. Cool. Okay, and then I want the sky dome. Actually, let's sorry, I'm gonna delete that. I don't need it. This guy, I'm gonna use the HDR that I had before, and I'm gonna call this sky dome. And then the sun, I'm gonna leave it at 0 for now. I'm not too worried about that, but we'll have it face this way. Okay, let's do a render with the with the sky dome. Let's copy this, call this explosion. Explosion, these two, it's good. And I'm gonna delete all these guys. Explosion APR. Pardon me. So it takes in a few seconds to read in the volume, and there we go. We have our volume. It's too dark, so I'm going to increase the light from the HDR. And what I like to do is I generally render one frame, one particular frame that has the explosion or the smoke or anything I'm doing in a good state where I can see basically what's happening, how the sim is looking like. So this is not very interesting, so let's go to a different frame. It's interesting, but I mean, I want to see the full explosion. Yeah, so something like this. Actually, let's go to a later frame. And what I like to do is I'm gonna look at the shapes and see what's the best position for the light that what's the best light position I can use that will bring up all the details in the sim. So in this case, let's wait for this to finish. So in this case, I have, for example, these edges, okay, and I have this guy. Okay, I will place a light that will hit this area, for example, and start casting shadows here. It will hit this area and start casting shadows here. For example, on the back, I generally go for the and try to bring up the rim light as much as possible. So in this case, I'll place a light that will hit all these guys. Okay, and it will cast shadows this way. So for example, this guy, I will try to cast shadows here. And this just to show how much details you have in this sim. If you place a light facing the camera, for example, you will uniformly lit the entire sim at the same time. So actually, let me show that. So let's call this flash. Move it here, and let me position the camera so it's something like this, and then I'm going to position the light so it's perpendicular, it's aligned to the camera, something like this, and I'm going to give it a white color, set the intensity to 10, and let's set the shadows to 0. And let's just use this light. So this is with a white light and the same sim, same everything. And as you can see, it's even though we have a huge high-res sim, we're not seeing anything about the sim. And comparing this with this, it's exactly the same, same everything except the light position. So it's very, very, very crucial to place the lights in a way that gives you the most, lit and shadowed rapport. It gives you, it brings in the details, and always move away from aligning lights to camera. It's never a good idea, especially in CG. It's not gonna work out well. So for me, let's go back to this frame. I'm gonna position one this way. I'll like to cast everything facing this way, and then another one on the back. So let's go back here, go back to the object context, and let's call this backlight. I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to give it a blue color. And this is another thing that I utilize a lot. The complementary color always helps. And this is a basic idea of cinematography and lighting. And then we're going to have this as well. Leave it at that. So these two. And I'm actually going to place another one. I'll show you guys why. So I'm going to call it top. I'm going to place two more. And we'll tweak them after we fix this, after we tweak all these lights. So one top and one bottom. It's loading in. I'm accidentally unhiding a lot of geo, so these guys I don't need. I'm going to delete this. I don't need. I'm going to delete. Okay, so top and bottom, and we'll take care of these later. Okay, and while I'm at it, I'm going to utilize the light AUVs, which I explained in previous videos. So each light can have, we can create AUVs that show us the result of each light. So I'm going to call this back. I'm going to call this sun. I'm going to call this top and bottom. And let's go to the render view. Sorry, the out context. I'm going to create AUVs for these guys. So that's good. Sun. And then I'm going to add the IMV as well, even though we didn't initialize it. We'll do that. Let's go back here. Let's give this a different color. And this different color so we know at least. These two I'm going to move aside. This is the Skydome ENV, and I'm going to set its intensity to 0. And I'm going to focus on these two, the back and the sun. And this process that I do requires, I also tweak the shader, and I'll explain why I'm going to tweak the shader. So it's all set up. Let's go to the render view, out. Let's make sure all the lights are in. So I'm going to type in star here. I'm going to hit render. Let's make sure we have a reasonable render settings. And for now, I'm going to turn off the volume scatter, the volume indirect bounces. I don't need any of that. And this is what we have now. The image was the view was looking at this snapshot, and I'm actually going to remove them. Cool. So this is the two lights, and let's go to this viewport. And let's tweak them. So I'm going to turn off the viewport display. I don't need any viewing here. And let's increase the intensity of this as well. So going to have them all on the side, and we'll bring them bring the UI whenever we need it. So for this one, I'm going to increase the intensity to 20, maybe 25, and let's desaturate the color a bit. Maybe give it a warmer tone. And I always like to create this, you see it in a lot of my work, I create this complementary color. So this is the shadows I'm talking about. I can position it here. You can see it's just casting this area, but I don't want that. I want to bring in more volume to this. So I'll have this cast here, this cast here, and anything that is unlit will be filled with the environment light and or other lights. Okay, so I'm happy with this. Let's select the other one, the back. I'm going to copy the UI, set it always on top, and let's go to the scene view. And for this guy, I always increase the intensity quite high. It's probably too much. Let's try 60. And I don't want it to touch the top a lot. I want it to be more side to side. Something like that. Let's give it a more saturated color. Cool. And let's take a look at the skylight now. So basically I get these two, key and back, and then I would add the environment light in and tweak that to give me the result that I'm looking for. Now this is where I said I also tweak the shader. For example, let me look at the AUVs, the sun here. See, we're not getting a lot of clear shadows volumetrics, which I like a lot. This is personal preference. So let's play with the density and see how we can bring this up even more. So denser, we're not seeing that. We're losing the details. 0.1, the volume is very, very transparent, but we're getting a lot of these volumes. So let's set it back to 1, and let's play with the transparency depth. Cool, so this helps. Yeah, I can see it here. And this is basically the kind of details I'm talking about. Cool, so I'm happy with this. I think it's very saturated, but we can fix that. Let's go back here. I think now because of the transparency, the backlight is bleeding into the volume too much. So let's rotate that. And let's reduce its intensity so it doesn't travel too far into the volume. I think we need to increase the density, but we'll leave it at that for now. Cool, so the next thing is the skylight. Let's set this to 4, and I like always to view it by itself because I want to tweak that clearly. So in this case, the skylight has the sky dome has a light in it. There is directionality to it, and what I like to do is I'm going to align that with the light, with the main key light that I have. In a lot of other cases as well, I would use this to basically give me more rim light, but I'm not going to do that. In this case, I'm just going to align it with the camera. Okay, it's with a sky dome, it's always a good idea to increase this, especially if you have a high-res map and you need to hit render again for this for the point scattering to regenerate again, and this should give us a more accurate sampling from the HDR. Okay, let's take a look at everything together. Cool. And now that we have these main lights, I'm still very happy with this, with the back. I think it's very strong, but also the density of the volume is very low. But let's tweak the other two guys that we've prepared. So I have one top. Let's take a look at that. And what I like to do to do with is basically cast more shadows into this area. But for it to work, you have to have a darker bottom, so it's really tricky to get that. But what I generally like to do is I'm gonna place a very desaturated color with that has a slightly blue tint, and I'll increase I'll lower the shadow raise so it's sharp, the angle so it's sharper, and I'm gonna increase its intensity. And this is actually a great example to show the LUT. So for example, see how this gradient that we have here, if I turn off the LUT, see how bad it is. It's really clamped and we don't get any nice fall offs at all. Set the gamma to 2.2, which is the typical. And you can see it's not interesting at all. So this is much better. And let's go back to the sorry, let me think. Yeah, so the shadow is 0. Let's go to the bottom and tweak that as well. So for this light, I always like to use especially if it's a big explosion, I like to create I like to use something similar to the ground color. For example, dirt or mud would be something like this. As if there is a lot of light bouncing off the ground and hitting the explosion, but it's not it's not uniform. It's generally, it decays, so we need to change the type instead of distant, which is uniform. We need to change that to something that has decay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to quad light for an area light. I'm going to increase the size. I'm going to do the same because the top one as well add like some decay on it. So I'm going to change it, and let's go back to the render view. And let's take a look at the top. Now you can see it here. It's very it doesn't have a huge intensity, so let's increase this accordingly. Cool. And let's scale it. I want it to hit more of the volume, something like that. And then for the bottom, let's take a look. Yep, something like that. And I'm gonna saturate it more. I wanted to create something interesting. And we're gonna lower it something like that. I want some decay from top to bottom, from bottom to top. Cool. So yeah, we have all these lights. This one I'm still not very happy with, but I don't have an idea as to how I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna desaturate it so it's not very present in the scene. And I think it's time to do some shader tweaking now. So let's go to the shader, and just so you guys know, this look I'm going for is the one that doesn't have fire. Okay, once we have fire in, it's a completely different story, and we're gonna do that in the next video. It will require a rehaul of all the lights, because we have to basically, what you want to see with fire is the illumination of the fire itself. And based on the intensity of the temperature field, you get different pardon me, you get different illumination, and to make that visible you have to lower all the lights and everything else. So it's very important to know what you're going for to start with. And in this case it's just a smoke with no temperature or anything. Cool. So let's increase the density, see how it looks. Cool. So I like this a lot with a stronger density. I like this side as well, but I think there's a lot of details. So I'm gonna set this to 5 for in between. Cool. I think this is better. I want to change. I want to get some more variation in the color. I'm gonna change the transparency color to give me that. So I'm gonna zoom in at a specific section. Yeah, I'm getting some nice bleeding now. Let me set it back to its original color, and let's play with it. This is before and after. And this is a very, very important aspect. Depends on the type of smoke, but visually it's always very cool to look at. So maybe it's too much. And let's change the color of the actual scattering. I want to colorize the smoke, so let's give it a hint of blue and see how that affects the overall scene. It's too much, so let's set it to orange. Yeah, I think this blends in much better, and it helps with this light as well. But I think it's very saturated, so maybe just a tiny bit, something like that. And now this could be very handy. I'll show the effect of this. Now the stronger the values, the more rim light we're gonna get. It's gonna pick up lights from behind more, and the inverse of that is gonna pick up lights facing towards the camera. So we're getting more of a flashlight effect. So this could be very, very interesting as well if you want to darken the center of the sim. You could easily do this using this method. I'm gonna set it to 0.5 for now, and we'll tweak that when we need it, but for now I'm pretty happy with this. Okay, so I think overall this is very cool. Maybe the top is too bright, and I would expect some bounciness or some more transparency, especially from this light. So I'm gonna lower this guy, the density. I want to get some nice translucence here. Yeah, something like that. And now to do a high-res render. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the lights. I'm going to set their samples to 3. I just need it for volume. And then for which one? For the backlight, I want to add I think it's cool. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to add some shadowing, some softness to the shadows for the sun. The sun has it. For the backlight then. So let's set 10, try 10, see what we get. Let's try 100. Yeah, too soft. So let's try 10. I think it's good. It's good balance. Cool. Let's take a look at the settings, and right now we don't have any volume indirect. It's off, so I'm going to set this to 1. And remember, it's off from the environment, which is the slowest. Let me go and turn it on to show you guys what the effect looks like with the environment on. So let's set this to 1. Now the environment is contributing to the indirect of the volume. Again, this is very expensive process. Even though it looks fast, it can get really slow. So I'm gonna set this to 0. I don't want any indirect contribution. And let's go back to the out context and let's increase this to 2. You know what, let me do 1 here and do a snapshot. So this is with 1. You know what, I'm gonna do 0. So let's do a 0 first. Okay, it's off, obviously. Let's do 1. Two. And the higher the value, the slower the render time is going to be. But after 5, between 5 and 10, the increment in the render time, the increase in render time is not linear anymore. There's not a huge difference between the 5 and 10, and probably 5 and 20 or higher. So 0, 1, 2, 3. No, I didn't do 3, so let's do 3. And let's go to 5. And we're looking just at the volume indirect. So this is 5. Okay, and let's try 10. Bounces is huge, but it really depends on the type of volume and how much transparency you have. So 5 could cause a point from here to sample something from inside the volume at this level, but because it's too dark, I don't think it's going that far. So let's try 50 if it finishes rendering. Yeah, it does. Okay. So I think it's not traveling because of the density, and this would have been more apparent if we had a more transparent volume, but I think it's cool. So let's see. 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 50. After 5, the difference is not huge, and between this and this, it's not huge either. I think the main difference is between 0 and 1, obviously. After that, it's just how much you can afford, really. Let's take a look at the beauty image, because we're adding visual information, but we're not seeing it overlaid on top of the real image. And sometimes having this can cause the white area to overexpose. Luckily with the LUT, they're not going to do that. So we can see the effect nicely here. I like 10. I really like all the translucence. I think 3 is good as well. So we'll go with 3. And let's do a high-res render. So I want to show you, I want to do the interactive rendering. So I'm going to set it to 1920 by 1080. And let's set this to 4. I'm going to turn this off just in case. And let's hit render. And this is a very fast machine that I'm working with. So you guys would probably be looking at 4 times slower. This depends on what kind of workstation you have. But overall, it should be really fast to render these volumes with Arnold. I mean, most of the tests I did are with a dual Xeon machine. And before that, I used an i7. Cool, so we have 3 bounces and a lot of lights. Some are area lights, some are spotlight, distant light, and we have a sky dome as well. And these are this is really high-res settings. Depends on the complexity of the smoke and the details. I don't think you need to go higher to solve any kinds of noise. If you have lights inside the volume, it can be really tricky for it to solve. And what I would recommend doing is render those separate lights individually and not have them inside the volume. And I'll actually do that. They have improved this drastically in Arnold 5, and they keep working on it. It's a very challenging problem to have light inside volumes, and I highly recommend you guys not to do that unless you have to. But we'll do a test and see how it goes. Cool, so this is rendering. You can see all the cool details, and we have 3 bounces. Let's take a look at the volume interact. It's definitely very, very clean for indirect pass with this volume, and I can't remember the resolution of this volume. So let's take a look at that. Sorry, it stopped the render. So let me do that in a separate file. I have Houdini on the side, so I'm testing it. I'll check the resolution quickly at frame 104. let me pause and I'll come back when this is done and I have the information about the volume. So the render is almost done and it took 10 minutes, which is kind of surprising, but I think I know why it's taken this long. It will definitely take a lot longer on a normal machine. This is a quad Xeon, so it's much more powerful than the single CPU machines, and it'll probably be an hour for this render to finish, which is still not bad on a normal machine. And what I wanted to talk about is the reason for this render time to go this high is because we have a lot of transparent areas, and the longer the ray has to travel, so each light is going through the volume. The more it travels through the volume and causes indirect illumination and everything, the more expensive the computation is. And the denser the volume, the faster it's going to render. And I will show you guys, I'll prove this in a second. But so far, there's tons of details. And one thing that is really hard, and I honestly don't have a secret to it, is just with the solver you have to tweak and try to get the right density. But having this overlapping smoke on top of a dense smoke is very, very complex, and being able to render and show that is definitely something really, really cool. This behavior, if you look at a lot of sims, it's really hard to see this type of effects. It's generally a uniform density smoke that either has a lot of details or basically has fire or something like that. But having overlapping complex volumes with this density and variation is very hard to create and see as well. So let's take a look at the various AVs. Expand this. Let's make sure we snapshot this guy. Okay, so the indirect, you can see it here. It's definitely very, very soft and very cool. Let's take a look at the environment light. This is the sky dome. This is the backlight. Top light. Cool. And then the sun. And the bottom. And there's a lot of data here, so if I crank this up, you see there's a lot of information as well visible that we can utilize. Now let's take a look at the volume direct. This is just the volume without any scattering, and this is the volume with the scattering, without and with. So it's very expensive to render the indirect passes, but you can see if you're interested in getting that effect and that soft look, you can definitely go for it. Okay, let's do another quick test. Two things I want to test. I want to test having off the indirect off, so I'm going to set this to 0, and we should see it rendering much faster, because yeah, the most expensive part is the indirect. Direct volume is really, really fast with Arnold, and that's how I render most of my volumes. And but it's something required for the fire, and we'll talk about doing that and how to work around that. You can see already the buckets are starting to finish, but we're losing the indirect volume. Yeah, it's definitely, it will be maybe 4 times faster, 5 times faster than the previous one. Yep. So I'll actually will wait for give it a few more seconds. The indirect illumination is required when you have a fire and you need the scattering or the illumination of the fire to bleed into the volume. You have to use indirect. But the question is whether you need the scattering only from that area or from everything else. So in this case, if we wanted to do this effect and have this on, have this volume set to 3, we can go and turn it off on all the lights, but leave it on in the render settings and have the indirect illumination, the volume scattering from the fire working. So we can save render time by doing that, or we can do it in 2 separate passes if you want to. So yeah, this is almost done, and let's snapshot this, and let me go to the shader, and I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna increase the density by, let's say, by 30, and let's see how fast it finishes now. It should finish it really, really fast in this case. We still have transparent smoke here, so it's going through that because the density is very low in that area, but the majority is still is very dense, and this should finish a lot faster than the previous ones as well. So the notes from this lesson is, try to think of the explosion or the volume as an object. Forget that it's a transparent volume, and try to place in the light as if you're a lighter. You're lighting a scene. It's a product, or it's a it's a product that you're trying to impress the client or whomever is going to view it. So try to beauty light this thing as if it's an object. Not forget that it's smoke, and don't worry too much about physically based rendering or photorealistic stuff. When they go in the sets in movies and film, they try their best to bring in shapes, curves, and use all these techniques, colors, contrast, complementary colors, to bring in things to life. And 90% of the time you don't see, well, 99% of the time you don't see the lights on the set, but there is tons of lights, and you don't question physicality. So when we light these volumes, don't just think about having, you know, a desert and an HDR and a realistic lighting. Try to make the most out of that smoke and show all the details. And I personally don't care too much about having a background or an HDR. I want to get as cool as possible of a render from that smoke. It doesn't have to be realistic or anything. I just want to make something that looks nice. If you have a reference, then that's a completely different story that you have to match, which is a much more complex process. We'll hopefully show you guys techniques that will help you to sculpt and control the volumes, the volume shader in any way you want. Now this is the render. It finished quickly, definitely, and the other note is, the denser the smoke, the faster. And if you don't need indirect volume, don't use it. And I think that's pretty much it. See you in the next video.